G'day, welcome to New Game Plus. Cringe here with what is going to be the last TV episode of New Game Plus in this format. Yep, we changed the format less than a year ago, but hey, community TV has been on notice for the last 6 years. We probably should have switched to a format that can work without C31. Later on, we'll talk about some of our favourite moments working on the show and dive into a bit of how it all came together behind the scenes. First though, let's take a trip down memory lane and see what the last 8 years in gaming have brought us. 2012 brought us Ouya's Kickstarter campaign, the Wii U, Journey, The Walking Dead, and Mass Effect 3, but closer to home, it was how Australia came to have an R18+ rating for games. In the mid-90s, a Queensland senator came across terrible FMV game Night Trap, and in retaliation, created the Australian Classification Act, limiting games to only be rated from G to MA15+. The first change to this legislation was proposed in 2002, but then Attorney General of South Australia Michael Atkinson fiercely opposed them. Following Atkinson stepping down in 2010, the Act was changed in 2012 to reflect how games and the expectations around them had changed, as well as to fall in line with pretty much every other ratings board in the world. 2013 brought us GTA 5, The Last of Us, Bioshock Infinite, and Ride to Hell Retribution. Sorry about that. The next gen of consoles was also kicked off with the launch of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, promising more detailed graphics, greater access for developers, bigger and better game worlds, and deeper integration of online gaming, along with paid subscriptions for online services across the board. It also saw Microsoft really drop the ball with its used game announcement and following launch marketing campaigns. Kinect was here to stay, and it meant the PS4 had a $50 advantage in Australia come launch day. The company's blunder, thanks to Don Mattrick in no small part, has gone on to shape Microsoft's gaming division today, as they're keener than ever to put their eggs into other gaming baskets, like streaming and subscription services. 2014 brought us Dragon Age Inquisition, Destiny, Hearthstone, and Shadow of Mordor, but really, everyone was obsessed with Flappy Bird. So much so, the game's developer Dong Nguyen removed the game from the iOS and Android app stores after it, quote, ruined his life. If that's what earning $50,000 a day really means, sign me up. 2015 brought us The Witcher 3, Fallout 4, Life is Strange, Rocket League, and Metal Gear Solid 5, but it was also the year that we bid farewell to then president of Nintendo, Satoru Iwata. Starting at Nintendo within HAL Laboratories, he oversaw the introduction of the Nintendo DS and Wii, both of which had a profound impact on the gaming community, but also how games were seen by society more broadly. During the rougher 3DS and Wii U times at the company, he resisted calls to push Nintendo properties to mobile, to abandon hardware manufacturing, and to order layoffs when the company was struggling. Iwata not only shaped the face of Nintendo as we know it today, but in many ways gaming too. 2016 brought us Uncharted 4, Stardew Valley, Firewatch, Overcooked, and Overwatch. Sounds like one of those names was made up when I say it like that. It was also the year we saw VR come to the consumer market with the likes of the Oculus Rift, HTC Vive, and PlayStation VR launching. What really took the world by storm though was Pokemon Go. Blending AR technology now in the palm of your hand with a classic gotta catch 'em all mindset, public strips were packed with heads and phones, trying to find something a bit more exciting than a Zubat. 2017 brought us Horizon Zero Dawn, PUBG, Fortnite, and Mass Effect Andromeda, which almost won an award for most anticipated game the year prior. Not that it would have made much of a difference. It was also the year the Nintendo Switch released, with hits like Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, and Mario + Rabbids Kingdom Battle. Even as Nintendo was making bank from mobile gacha hell, the Switch showed again that Nintendo was here to stay in the hardware business, even if it took a few missteps. 2018 brought us God of War, Celeste, Spider-Man, and Red Dead Redemption 2, thanks to just a few long weeks from the developers. Even though it launched the year prior, Fortnite proved to be a gaming juggernaut, thanks in part to its availability on nearly every device you own, but also celebrities like Drake, Ninja, and Ellen pushing it into the mainstream. 2019 brought us Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Control, Death Stranding, and Kingdom Hearts 3, literally 14 years after Kingdom Hearts 2's release. The gaming stories that dominated mostly focused on the PS5 and Xbox Series X, with leak after leak around the controllers, console design, internal specs, and what we can expect, once again, moving into the next gen.
New Game Plus started after the dissolution of Level 3, which was the old show that we did, and there was a creative difference on how the show should be run and how effective it should be. We decided we were going to start fresh. We wanted to kind of change up the way we did things. There were certain things about the way we did the previous one that we didn't like and we wanted to change, but obviously we still wanted to be that magazine style show. We still wanted to think, but at the time I had 2 young editors who wanted to do more of their own kind of coverage and their own segments and things like that, and so we split off and became a different thing. The way we were previously doing it was green screen reviews. We were doing green screen before green screen was cool, and I think it was also wearing down on everyone who was doing it. We needed to kind of do things a little bit differently, and that doesn't mean that we wanted to suddenly become another games industry outlet. We've never been another games industry outlet, but we still wanted to take it on our own path, and we could see that there was more opportunities and more progress if we split off and became our own. And we've done lots of spin-offs as a result of that, like a lot of specific convention shows. Liam was doing graphic content. There's been spin-offs from the main thing, and that's always kind of what I wanted. I want to offer this infrastructure for people to kind of do their own segments, whether that's inside of New Game Plus or whether that's as its own kind of creative project. Tim and Kirsty were kind of main hosting, and I was like floating in between that as well. Would Tim play it? Staunch PC gamer, known for being very set in his ways, won't look at any of the weird stuff, anything like that. Kirsty was doing a bunch of mobile reviews. This was when especially the app stores had started to hit there. We've come out of you can press the fart button on your phone to his actual games, his actual content that's being made. And before it was all just gusher, free to play, tapathons. Win Retro followed us over, so we were doing stuff with Serbian Kano. And then that kind of, once those guys kind of split off and started doing their own thing, and I guess doing less because I was starting, become salarymen and getting married and all that kind of silliness. Then we had Old Game Plus come into that, so that's Dermy and Oz. And so there was lots of these, people were kind of taking the chance to make their own thing, you know what I mean? And the hardest part of that is always coordinating it. We were a very front-heavy show. We still are to a lot of ways, where a lot of the back-end stuff is done by few people and there's a lot of people on the front end. That's not how you want to run a show. You usually want to do it the other way around. It says something of perseverance, the fact that we kept going. I mean, it's about 320-something episodes or something now. So, we've still always kind of done this as a passion project. We do work in the industry now, with launch events, with various video productions, all that kind of stuff, but it's separate to the show itself. I've always tried to separate that. But I mean, we've had lots of alum go on to jobs in the industry, Kirsty's now with Nintendo. We've not necessarily been a launch platform, but obviously let people develop their skills and then go on from there. We've had plenty of contributors. Obviously Alice still does stuff for us occasionally and stuff now as well, but she was previously a writer. This helped her with her television skills. So it's something different to think. People like Alana Pierce, who's one of my favorite YouTubers still a gun. People like Ray Johnston were peered with us. We've even had Steve Wright on a few times. So I guess it's kind of, you can look at it from a generation's point of view. There was the first year or so where we were filming out of the place that I was living in at the time. Then lots of family stuff happened, so I had to move that and drag that down to good old Dandy Town. So that was, that was a ruckus for a few years there. We've now moved on to RMIT/online/Discord and all these things. So that's kind of the 3 generations in my head as far as how the show's been created. But from I guess kind of from the larger point of view of how we do things, the uncertainty around C31 has mean that we've had to adapt the content so that we can use it multiple places. Well, the one thing that I've had a lot of experience in is making TV, but TV content doesn't necessarily translate to YouTube or to Twitch or whatever the case may be. So adapting it to that has been probably the biggest challenge, and it's still a challenge now. We've only just started kind of picking up Twitch now. The name as well. The name on YouTube kills me because people just can't seem to understand that the outlet is called New Game Plus, not the fact that the game has a New Game Plus mode, and people just can't understand that. The wider internet is just, their minds are blown. Then you want to go to the larger cultural Clash, Gurmagurt, all these wider pushes. It becomes hard to navigate that space because it's not that you don't want to take a side. The joke has always been that I'm the biggest SJW, social Jason Warrior is Dermy's old joke. But then if you don't do certain things, you're obviously a Gurmagurt. If you don't do other things, you're obviously an SJW, obviously And I just want to give my opinion to people and have people watch it, and I've been lucky that enough people do that take an interest in it, and so we've managed to navigate that reasonably successfully. It hasn't hampered us as much as it could have, It does occasionally because people are very sensitive to that kind of thing, but I think there's been there's last 10 years have been very tumultuous in the business, kind of full stop. It basically kicked off once Mass Effect 3's review came out. That was it. The industry was going through the rapids. We've cruising down the river, and then Mass Effect 3, people who hated it, whiny crybabies, and now we're in trouble. Like, look, I think it's worth addressing. CTV closing is a bad decision. The Spectrum's not being used for anything. There's no ongoing use case for it. There's no reason for it to end. It's just ending because they've decided that that's what's going to happen. It's a bad decision because it's a bad decision. All of these diverse communities, multicultural communities, smaller sporting communities, gaming communities, stuff like that, all these opportunities, training opportunities are gone if this goes. And so it's such a bad decision to me that I actually feel compelled to tell people to actually contact Paul Fletcher. Now, as much as I'd love to send him, like, phone him up and just light him up with abuse, it's not going to help. If there's enough community ground support, and I'm sure this video will end up on our Facebook and YouTube with the links and stuff below it, just email him and tell him that it's an important part of the media landscape. And the show without C31, it's different. TV content doesn't work. Like YouTuber, here's a bit of insider goss. YouTubers are pushing towards 20-25 minute content. They want to become a television channel. The problem is it still doesn't look like TV. It's still a different format. It might be the same length. It might have 2 ad breaks. It might have all these things that are what you would consider TV, but it's not TV content. So people still want it to be talking head. They want it to be podcast material. They want it to be all this kind of stuff, which is not really what we make at the moment. So that's why we've started doing podcasts. We've started doing, picking up Twitch and doing that more seriously and all these kind of things, because you kind of have to adapt. I personally, I'm trying to spin off and do more of the Japanese stuff. Like, obviously we go to Japan every year, all this kind of stuff, but we don't really, as much as we review a lot of Japanese games, do all that and have this kind of like jokes to ourselves, we don't really engage with that culture in the wider sense. And that's something that I really want to do, just from the point of view of it's what interests me, it's what I enjoy. So I think the big change coming up will be the fact that, even personally, I'm going to start focusing on the things that I really enjoy. Where previously, New Game Plus is still about being a video game outlet first, and that'll still continue to hopefully be the case. But from a personal point of view, I'll start focusing on things that I want to focus on. We'll give anyone a go. You've got to come in with the right attitude, and I think you'll get a go. We've always tried to have diverse voices. There was an era there where for like a year or so, it was literally just like white boys sitting in chairs. Not that that's a problem, because it ain't a problem. Like, I don't pick Gronks, but it's still not what we wanted it to be. So we've always been lucky in that, we've tried to reach out both, racially, sexually, gender diverse, as much as we possibly can. But I think the legacy that we have is that, it is purely passion. We've been lucky that we've been able to avoid a lot of these moral quagmires around payment for content and all this kind of stuff. And it's always been something that I've held firm to, is that I won't have an editorial bias. If you hate a game and you want to go in on it, just keep your receipts. Make sure that you know what you want to say. But at the same time, if we've done like paid work for that, let's say we helped them with a launch party, we helped them with a video or whatever, we'll give that editorial content. And there's rules like that in my own head I've tried to maintain as much as possible. So from my point of view, it's like, if nothing else, at least we kind of stuck to our guns with a lot of that stuff, especially in an industry where that is the first thing that people call into question. Rightly or wrongly, it's the first thing that people call into question. Beyond that though, it's still the fact of, like, if someone comes to me and says, like a young Queensland boy once come to me and said, I've got this segment that I've made about mental health in video games. Here's this fully edited segment. Will you put it on your TV show? And the answer was just yes, because A, I didn't have to do any work, and B, like, I'm always happy to give people a go as long as they're willing to come into it with the right attitude. So if that's what we're known for as we go on, or if everything stops or whatever, then I will be happy with that, and I'll go on and do whatever else I'm doing with great aplomb. But I think that access and that availability and that ability to reach out to these kind of, not niche, but kind of different voices is something that I've always kind of cherished about what we do.
We've been doing this New Game Plus thing for over 8 years. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of memories. But I just want to focus on 3. Firstly was the fulfillment of a childhood dream and going to E3, the Electronic Entertainment Expo back in 2013. It was great to see the games announced live, to play them with my own hands. But also, we had been planning for months beforehand how to make a TV show out of it, and seeing that plan executed live was something special. The second thing, which I'll take close to heart, was on the level. Like, writing the scripts themselves involves a lot of research and a lot of pre-production, and it was great to see that work put onto the screen. Thanks in great parts to our editor Prospect, who helps me realize the vision of those OTLs. And that it was recognized, and I was recognized for a nomination for the Best Gaming Journalist Award in 2019. It's just kind of the cherry on top. I can finally say that I am an award-losing journalist. But the thing that I'll take close to heart from New Game Plus isn't anything big. It's actually just really tiny things. It's going to the studios every week, whether it be at Jason's house or at RMI TV, or just catching up with the others, and of making a television program about video games every week, of talking to you, the viewer, about this thing we call video games that we love so much. That is what I'll take close to heart. So I want to thank Jason and Prospect for devising New Game Plus. I want to thank RMI TV, Channel 31, Channel 44 for hosting us. I want to thank you, the viewer, for being here with us for these past 8 years, and for being with us wherever New Games Plus goes in the next 8 years.
So I guess kind of the coolest thing, and the thing I'm most proud of as doing community television, whether it's been New Game Plus or hell, even Level 3, was I also something on specifically on camera, but something I did as part of the show. So a couple of years ago, I submitted the PAX panel talking about the Yakuza franchise. I figured it'd be a cool opportunity to talk about something that I really like with a couple of cool friends, including good friend Matt on New Game Plus. Like, it was a cool opportunity. But then we were kind of chatting, like, what if we could try and make something special out of this? And we kind of had this crazy idea, like, what if we just got in touch with one of the localizers and said, hey, we're doing this panel, would you be interested? And somehow I managed to get in touch with him and just ask the question, like, hey, would you want to be a part of this? And I was half expecting no. I was half expecting to say, you know, who the hell are you? Why are you getting in touch with me? Go away. But somehow he didn't say no. In fact, he was actually kind of really keen on the idea. And through multiple PR people and through multiple different time zones, we somehow made this happen through the magic of the internet. And to me, that's kind of just something I never think I'd ever really do. Like, because that's one of the wonderful things about community television is you can always just try. You can try new things, you can kind of experiment, be weird, and there's no way you're going to fail, because you're always experimenting, you're always trying new things. There's no one to say, well, you can't do this. Like, I was given the opportunity to say, well, hey, if we can get this, great, awesome, you know, but if we can't, cool, we can still have a great panel nonetheless. And that's kind of the lesson I've learned, is that you could always, like, that's kind of the lesson of being part of community television, is always, you can always try and never fail, because you'll always learn what you've done wrong, and you've always learned how to improve on that. And that's a hell of a skill to learn.
When New Game Plus started, it was me and Prospect editing the show, and that continued for quite a long time. And there was a challenge to sort of hit that weekly deadline. It's a lot of work, and we used to edit it, and we had an editing office where we had 2 computers, and we'd come in and we'd both edit different parts of the show together. And there was a really sort of good atmosphere of, okay, let's all work together and make this show, which I really enjoyed. And over the years, my involvement in New Game Plus has changed. Used to do a lot of editing and directing, then I was doing some of the spin-off shows like Graphic Content and Planeswalker Plus, which is one of the great things about New Game Plus, is it's allowed me to explore my interests and hobbies and share them. The fact that we're 31 is, you know, ending is it's sad, because it's the end of an era. It's the end of the format and structure of New Game Plus. The fact that we had a weekly 25-minute TV show was because of community TV. Without it, the format, the delivery sort of all changes. I haven't been as involved recently, been doing the movie reviews and then the other spin-off stuff, but I'm keen to see what the guys and girls put towards the new Game Plus.
Hey guys, it's Megs here. It's my turn to say goodbye to Channel 31. We've been able to broadcast our show for many years on this unique free-to-air platform, and it's given our entire team a space outside of YouTube to bring our passions to Aussies around the country. The New Game Plus team are some of the most passionate people in the video games industry, and we love what we do, and we're all super close. Being able to leverage Channel 31 to entertain, educate and inform Aussies all around the country is something I'll never forget or take for granted, and is one step towards bringing our industry to the mainstream. Esports and video games make just as much, if not more money than film and TV do, and it's been a privilege to showcase that for so long. Some of my favourite moments I've had on NGP are special to me for many reasons, like my own professional development in front of a camera, meeting and interviewing inspiring people that are hustling to make change, and content creators, casters and streamers making waves in online communities for gamers. Channel 31 has helped us bring content to viewers like you to learn new things about esports, new game releases that are not broadcasted on any other free-to-air channel. We've hoped you love watching our show as much as we've loved making it. So until we meet again, Channel 31, all the best, and hopefully it's not forever.
Now, if you asked me what I'd be most proud of when it comes to New Game Plus, it isn't necessarily a singular, linear defining moment, but something that I've seen increase exponentially over time. And that, of course, is just the way people perceive and respect video games. Now, back around about 10 to 20 years ago, the first 20 years of my life, a lot of people, particularly friends and family, would have perceived video games as a momentary distraction or a complete waste of time, depending on who you asked. As the years have gone by, I've seen that kind of mindset diminish almost completely, and we've seen so many people embrace video games and respect them in their own interesting ways. A lot of people see esports as a completely just amazing, lucrative market, both from a financial point of view and also from just an entertainment point of view as well. A lot of people perceive video games now as an incredibly unique way of storytelling, and also just as amazing of a medium as, say, a book or an incredibly amazing musical album or even a movie. So it's awesome to see that paradigm shift from something that was just completely disregarded, and we've been there to help at least somewhat pioneer that and help people kind of see the beauty within video games rather than it being the bane of, you know, everyone's issues or productivity. So yeah, just to close, it's just awesome to be a part of that. Not to say that we've single-handedly done it ourselves. There's been plenty of outlets that have assisted in that regard, but we've been here for about 8 years now, especially in the realms of community television, and we've broadcasted so many of our segments to thousands and thousands of people, and we can at least be proud in the fact that we've helped change people's minds, change people's attitudes on what is a most exciting, fantastic, and also still quite young medium. So hopefully we can do that for many more years to come. So it's not goodbye, it's not so long, farewell, but it's just going to be incredibly exciting from here on out.
And that's a wrap for New Game Plus on your TV. As far as we know, C31 is still set to shut down at the end of June. C44 might not. We'll see how that goes. But if they do happen to still be on air come July 1st, you're probably going to be seeing some repeats of New Game Plus as we work to put together the new show format that we're working on. That should be coming in the next few months. But in the meantime, check out our social media feeds on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. All of those /New Game Plus TV. The website is newgameplus.tv. Definitely go and check those out. But in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us on this journey that is New Game Plus TV, and we'll catch you next time.